Hills, Katuna. These one-stop border posts, as you know, there is transportation and movement of people, goods, services, and that kind of thing. So we have increased the number of one-stop border posts, particularly now in Impondwe and Elegu, so that instead of the delays that we used to experience when we are transporting goods within the region, the one-stop border posts have greatly eased time and costs when moving the goods. There is one stop border post which is under construction, and that's at Swam, and we think that this is going to be completed before June next year. Now, there is also progress on the implementation of the Authorized Economic Operator Program. What is this Economic Operator Program? The Economic Operator Program works in this way that if businesses, in other words, exporters and importers, they are compliant. In other words, they declare what they have declared is exactly what they bring or what they export. There are given times when there's abrupt checking. If they are checked a number of times by the revenue authorities and they are found to be compliant, they write them as they are compliant operators, and therefore they are allowed not to stop to be checked. Now, of course, after some time they can give an abrupt again checking, and if they are found, but so it actually promotes ease of movement of the goods, so either imports or exports in and out of the country. So we have increased the number of these as Uganda authorized economic operators. Now we have like 45 ESC, regional economic operators, collecting US dollars 245,000.6 million. In other words, because of the ease with which they move, they are able to increase the businesses. Now, elimination, as you know, the non-tax barriers, the non-tariff barriers, which is a big issue of course, in the trade within the region. We have increased, as you know, we set up a mechanism in which we report any non-tariff barriers that we observe. If the traders are trading within the region and they come out across an administrative barrier, they do actually report. And when we report, there's a mechanism at the regional level to make sure that these are sorted out, to ease again its facilitation actually of trade. So out of the 400, the 274 non-tariff barriers cumulatively resolved, they have been resolved by 2024. In other words, new ones come in, but we keep resolving them. So the mechanism is effective only when we can be able to resolve, even if new ones can come on board. There's the issue of reducing the transport costs, the time and cost of transporting goods between ports and between countries. For example, transportation from Dar es Salaam has gone from 21 days to 7 days. From Mombasa to Kampala, it has been reduced to 3 days, significantly reducing the cost of doing business. In other words, per container from 3,100 US dollars to 1,025. This is part of actually areas where we put emphasis. There is also, this is actually reduced through the single declaration. The use of the single declaration has replaced multiple entries. In others, you declare at one point and documents are sent. So by the time you reach the next border, the documents are there. They are scanners. They scan the goods without necessarily offloading them, and this has greatly eased doing business within the region. For example, Uganda's export to ESC also has increased tremendously from the figures of 2021, 2022, 2023. We now have, from 2021 we had 1.532 million to 2022 US dollars 1.943 million, and then the last year 2023 to 2.2 million US dollars. That's increased, not so much, but there's some increase. I've talked about the centralized system and trade facilitation, the enhancement and support of the centralized system to facilitate the exchange of information under the single customs territory. And the partner states has gone a long way to improve and reduce on the time and the cost of doing business. I would also like to talk about the small business have been supported through what we call the trade fair, that is the regional trade fair, that we go around. The last trade fair that we had in Uganda was in December 2022. This year we had a trade fair in Juba, and increasingly what we can see, a number of Ugandan small and micro, small and medium enterprises, they have increased what they produce. They have learned in terms of quality. They have also learned a lot in terms of what sells and what does not sell, and that actually improves their businesses and makes them make more money. Now, the other area that actually has been very greatly emphasized is the area of standards. We have, as ESC, we are required, it's the requirement that we harmonize the standards so that within the customs union, the goods can travel, the standards are known. If you offer a mark like a UNBS, that standard is known and that are accepted everywhere else within the region. So we have actually the ESC indigenous harmonized ESC standards are now right now 751 and 1,161 goods adopted from international bodies as at October 2024, and there is an 86% implementation rate across the partner states. You develop a standard and then you have to implement it, ensure that there's enforcement, and this facilitates actually exports from the region. I want to talk about things straight away. I'll go to achievements in the relationship to era manifesto on the common market for the customs union. In the common market, and I'll be touching, because I'm sure the sectors which we coordinate will be giving you the information, more detailed information is. There are some sectors, some roads, which are we term ESC roads, which facilitate trade within the region. They have been agreed upon, and these roads include the Kenya, Uganda, Kisumu, Kisiani, Busia, Kaikira, Malaba, and the Busitema, Busia Express. This actually work is going on, but the people I want this to be talked about more by Minister of Works. The procurement process for a consultant to undertake the feasibility study, because what ESC does is to do the feasibility study. Then individual countries do receive funding and implement those roads. In the civil aviation and airports, there is harmonization of the ESC civil aviation policy and regulation, and is progressing with 45% completion. The regulation for the liberalization of air transport services are 75% complete and are awaiting endorsement before promulgation. We have other areas of technical and vocational education where we are trying to harmonize. What is important that we do harmonize and we have the same policies for the same sector. That's what is going on. We are doing a harmonization in that area. We are doing a harmonization in the area of energy and tourism, and also developing the minimum standards for tour operators. There's a lot that has been done in the promotion of the use of Kiswahili, which was summit agreed that Kiswahili should be also added over and above English. Kiswahili should be an ESC official language, and also French. And what are we doing? Because in Uganda we have a big challenge there. There's a lot that is taking place here. The We have got Kiswahili trainers who are training different groups of people, the cabinet, the ministries. We have ministries of ESC, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Water, the IGG. All these are, we ensure that they are being trained. We have some trainers. We have trained 300 cross-border traders in the use of Kiswahili. And we have developed a comprehensive program on the use of Kiswahili for the key stakeholders, and it's being rolled out. There's the work on the ESC University Debates and ESC Youth Ambassadors Platform, which is going on. I don't want to talk much about that. And also we have secured scholarships in different areas. 17 Ugandan students on African Centers of Excellence. They have received scholarships from the Inter-University Council of East Africa, and the students pursued various master's courses in the fields of agriculture. 28 Ugandan students studying in South Korea. The beneficiaries undertake smart computing, artificial intelligence, hotel management, and business administration. We are looking at areas where we see that right now there are gaps, and if we train some people, we will be able to promote the gaps, especially if you look at tourism and hotel management. This is one area that, as a region, we have a lot of potential because of the growing tourism in the area. You see Ugandan students studying in Arusha. They undertook postgraduate training in ICT. 44 Ugandan lecturers sent to other countries under the staff mobility program. In other words, the exchange, the staff exchange. While 48 staff from other countries were hosted to teach in Uganda. So a lot has been going on in terms of looking for funding to make sure that we train Ugandan, we train East Africans in key strategic areas to support the ESC integration. There are some activities that have taken place, which we have done, mainly development of trade corridors, and these are known, but maybe our colleagues from the sector will talk more about it. Let's look at the pillar of monetary integration or monetary union. In this area, we expect to move towards a single currency. But before we reach the single currency, there are institutions, there are pillars that must be put in place, and these have been handled. The first pillar is the establishment of a common central bank. Now, right now, the laws have been put in place. The laws for an ESC Monetary Institute, which is a precursor to the central bank, has been completed. That is, we have the issue of the convergence of economic and monetary policies. The people, we coordinate the people in central banks to make sure that actually we have a convergence of economic and monetary policies. The introduction of a single currency is very critical. That's what we're working towards. And the creation of the necessary institutional framework for implementing and oversight. The institutions that actually have been, so far the laws have been put in place and are moving to the area of the institution, the establishment of the East African, these institutions that will help us to come out with the monetary union. The East African Statistics Bureau, the law is in place, and we're expecting that it's going to be rolled out immediately as an institution, because you cannot do a single currency without critically monitoring and providing information how each country is performing at the ESC level. The East African Financial Services Commission, an institution of the ESC, again to help in the monetary convergence. This institution is, the law has been already established. The East African Surveillance and Compliance Commission, again, the law is in place, awaiting implementation. Let's look at the political federation. Right now, consultations are going on. a draft EAC political confederation constitution was developed by a team of experts, and consultations have been going on. Uganda already we did a consultation. We've been having a lot of challenges getting other countries like Tanzania. Kenya completed consultations. Now we shall be December, which is we shall be going to RSS to do consultations. In February we shall go to Tanzania. March we shall go to Somalia, April DRC, and the Republic of Rwanda in June. So to complete this, and once we complete this, the consultations are out, then the draft will become will be a full confederation constitution, which then has to be rolled out. There's the legal and judicial sector. They have been amending the treaty. There are so many areas as we move along, and as we bring more partners on board, there is a need for reviewing the treaty. This is going on by Secretarial Council on Legal and Judicial, which is attended by our Ministries of Justice. They are looking at areas of cross-border security. Uganda, along the EAC Secretariat partner states, conducted border visits to assess cross-border security on the Ugandan side, where we visited Malaba, Busia, Kenya, and Uganda, Eregunimule, Uganda, and South Sudan. So we've been doing this as bilaterally. Irama Hills and Katuna, that's Uganda, Rwanda, and in Mutukula, Tanzania. Under the political federation, we have developed a strategic framework on transboundary security. We have coordinated this, and the stakeholders who are actively involved in the development of the EAC framework on transboundary security met, and we came out with recommendations. We've been having these joint permanent commissions with DRC, with Kenya, and we've come out with the areas which actually, more we discuss about areas which can open up, which can ease our integration. We have the peace caravan that took place among the Datekere communities. They were taken to the Kenya Masai, Tanzania, because these were given as an example of countries who are cattle keepers and also practice transhumance, where they move from one area to another, but they don't have fights, they don't have any problems. So they went there to learn exactly how do they do it. They'll come back with a lot of lessons. And the other day we were actually in Moroto trying to discuss, and it has really eased actually the understanding of the Atekere communities within Uganda, the Turkana, and then Karamojong, and then in South Sudan. It has eased, and they are continuing to be promoted to stop normally the wars and all the problems that they encounter, cattle rustling. And as you are aware, new countries have been put on board, and these ones processes are going on to make sure that they also implement the EAC integration. National early warning centers. There's significant strides in establishing the national early warning centers, and which share information with each other. Visa waivers and harmonization. Some countries are not yet there, like DRC, but countries like RSS are working hard to make sure that we waive the need for visas. There's the Diaspora Policy. A policy is being put in place by the ESC and the partner states. It's called the ESC Diaspora Policy and Plan of Action to establish a strategic framework for mobilizing and integrating East African diaspora in the region, in order so that they can come and invest. That's what we are doing. There have been challenges, of course, mainly the budget, intra-trade. Really, the target actually, when Heads of State made, they targeted that the trade that we have within the region should be 40% of all the trade that we conduct. Unfortunately, this is not happening. We still are at 20%, the share of trade globally, the low levels of awareness, yes, integration in Uganda and other partner states, slow implementation of the one network area, which is very, very critical for communication. Partner states don't make their annual contributions, so it becomes a challenge at the regional level. And then the belonging to the multiple regional economic blocks. Some countries are in ESC, but they are also in ES and SADC. So now, if you are running a customs union where you belong to more than one customs union, it's very challenging. Goods come in, and then you can also re-export those ones as though they are coming from your place. The intra-regional trade and infrastructure development, there is a slow progress in harmonization of fiscal and monetary policies. What is my recommendation now? Recommendation is that we need to look at the budget of the ministry and see areas where there are weaknesses, particularly communicating what we are doing to the people of Uganda and how they can be promoted to benefit. And then increased budget allocation for sensitization, which I've talked about, and to identify economic collaborators among the various partner states and within the region, the country, who can actually do the promotion of East African integration. So, I thank you for listening, and I will be available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, much big applause to that presentation. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister, for your presentation. Viewers, you will bear with me that this is one of the areas which is rarely appreciated, especially by our citizens there, but it is something which at a national level has been championed and scaled up to catch up with other partner states. And as you have seen, for us at the Manifesto, Right Honorable Prime Minister, I want to thank all the efforts that have been put in place, especially in creating frameworks that support the proposed interventions in making integration work. As you have seen, a lot of progress has been made in this area, and we continue to see intra-regional trade grow, and also cross-border movements of our persons. Maybe, Honorable Minister, you should have shared that the society, that the group has expanded at a regional level. I think the last could have added 1 or 2 more members who have come on board. DRC or Somalia has also applied. I don't know whether it has been formally accepted. It's also formally accepted. So you can see the group is expanding, which gives an opportunity for a wider market, because where we can take our goods and trade. I think the only observation we have here is that we need, I don't know whether I can call it an intentional communication strategy to make sure that the citizens have a deep understanding of the integration and its associated benefits. I think there has also been efforts to improve on the language, to teach Kiswahili, so that we can have a common medium of communication, so that any of us, wherever he is, he can be able to communicate with ease. But I think in terms of people, the citizens, especially here in Uganda, appreciating this integration agenda is still low. So we need to have a robust campaign and other initiatives that can bring on board the citizens to appreciate the real meaning of this integration and its associated effects. Yes, we have seen the protocols that have been put in place, but from time to time we still see what we call non-tariff barriers experienced within the region. We still see where some countries are still rejecting our products. I don't know for what reasons. I don't know whether we have not harmonized the standards so that these are applicable. Our goods across the region can move without hindrance. I think we also still have a challenge in the area of issuance of permits. I mean, support the labor aspects. So maybe these are the issues the citizens want to know why, for example, it's not easy to get a working permit in Kenya, whereas Kenyans here, the process may not be as rigorous or as bureaucratic as it is the other side. That said, like I said, the unit appreciates all the efforts that have been put in place, and more especially the ratification of the protocols that are intended to make this dream be grounded. In your presentation, Right Honourable Minister, you didn't tell us the challenges you face in terms of implementation of these interventions. I don't think it has been a smooth ride. So the citizens would want to know that even as you try to put this in place, there are issues that could come your way. Some could be institutional, some could be global, so that we can stand with you in that struggle of ensuring that this journey is realized. Apart from that, I now invite members of the media to share your questions, observations, and other concerns as far as this dream of political and economic integration is concerned. Any questions? Any observations? Yes, please.
Yes, good afternoon, Honourable Minister and members of the media. I'm Namai Moses. I work with NBS TV. Thanks very much, Honourable Minister, for your presentation on the issues of the East African community. But in your presentation, you didn't talk about the issues of the subscription. We've seen that close to $75 million, all these countries have totally failed to pay this money. A case in point, we have the DRC. It has gone to $20 million. We have Rwanda, $4.3 million. Our country, Uganda, $3 million. Kenya is at zero. So we are, as members in these states, what could be failing? Should we presume that these countries are non-committal, are losing interest in the East African community? and what should be done, and maybe at what stage will Uganda clear, and for its sister country like Kenya, which is at 0. Thanks very much, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you, the PS, for the presentation. My name is John Odiek from the New Vision. Mine is about the liberalization of the air transport. I'm just wondering what is causing the delay. The Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly recently, when they were in Kampala, said that flying in East Africa is almost like flying up to Dubai, because many of the partner states are the taxes and so many, I don't know, charges they put. Yet, so it makes it difficult for people to fly passengers and cargo in the region. So I don't know what is causing. Yet it would be beneficial if the countries you could fly between Uganda and Kenya as if it is one country, like the one area network. The other question is kind of general, that while we know that we should trade a lot within ourselves, even the leaders know, why is it that this trade continues to, intra-trade continues to remain at 20%? I think for the last so many years, always they are saying that it has been stagnant at 20%, yet all the leaders are talking about improving trade in the region. And finally, is that the question of funding is always a perennial problem. Everyone is crying about funding challenges. So are there alternative ways you are trying to fund some of the projects or programs that are listed in the manifesto for that matter? Because even in another year, you are going, the other, I think, update, you still have these funding challenges, and your programs will not be implemented unless you now start thinking out of the box. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have any more observations? So allow me now to invite you, Right Honorable, to come and respond to these issues that have been, and observations that have been raised here, to benefit the understanding of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I'll immediately talk about some of the challenges. I did mention some of the challenges, but maybe I looked inwards, looking at the challenges as the Ministry of East African Community Affairs that we face in our work. But I do appreciate the comments that you have made in terms of a very rigorous communication strategy to reach out to the people of Uganda and the people of East Africa as a whole, in the cases of our colleagues. That's very, very critical, and I'll take that on board. The non-tariff barriers, as I said, they continue to persist, but the good news is that we have a very rigorous mechanism through which the council, when the council meets, the regional non-tariff barrier committee ensure that they present which countries have put in place which NTB. And if no country wants to be, to be seen as presenting non-tariff barriers. The last council that we had, it's like Sectoral Council and the Ministers of ESC did look at that. Countries are doing very well in terms of removal, but they remove one and they institute another one. And that has been continuing. And I'm sure the best situation is if we had a political federation whereby we move, like if you are going from here to Masaka, nobody stops you. I think that would be the most ideal. But for the time being, when the countries still remain as partner states, we shall continue having these NTBs, but we have the important thing is to have a rigorous mechanism to remove them. Issuance of permits, yes, we still have like a DRC. We have an issue, and we have agreed next week we are going for council and summit. These are the matters that we are putting before the heads of state. Now, subscription, yes, but the report you have is very old. As I talk now, Uganda was paid up to 95%. DRC has paid something. I think they have paid 1 million. RSS has paid something. Countries have paid something. Right now, the situation is not so bad. But by the time that the IALA had a meeting here, they were not aware that this money was being sent. The deadline, countries are allowed to pay by 30th December. That means the first 6 months of every year, countries must have paid. However, of course, our colleague Kenya, they had paid 100%, but we have been able to pay, as Uganda, we paid 95%. And the 5% was because of the exchange rate loss, the poundage. Otherwise, we shall be sorting this out. There are countries that actually have a big problem. Burundi, they try, but they have arrears every year. DRC has not been paying, but now they have started. This is the first time that they are paying. They have paid 1 million so far. Somalia has not yet paid at all, because they became members. They ratified their membership treaty just the other day. So we give them a benefit of doubt that they will do better. And RSS, as you saw, we even had to come in and waive some of the areas. So they still have a problem. But we continue to make sure that we push for the members paying. What the heads of state actually put in place was what they called the alternative financing mechanism. The alternative financing mechanism takes into consideration the size of the economy. Because you will not expect a country like the ability to pay of Burundi to be the same as the ability to pay of Kenya. So therefore what they said, that a percentage of the subscription should be paid at equal. In other words, if we are to pay, let's say $100 million, we say 50%, each country should pay what is 50%. But then the 50%, we should compare it to the customs revenue they get. Because they get customs revenue through trade within the region. So we say, since you are benefiting more than the others, pay a percentage of that customs revenue. Because it came out that a country like Kenya will be paying, the highest paying country will be like paying 6 million in terms of percentage of ability to pay, 60% more than the others. And because of that, there is a haggling. The item is on the agenda of the council and the summit, which is coming next week. Trade funding of Miaka, liberalization of air transport. Yes, there is a big issue. The perfect situation should be if we had a single East African airways. But now, as you can see, each of the partner states has put up its own airline, and there is the other area of competition. And because of that area, they go slow in clearing, in issuing, in making sure that we liberalize the air transport. We have the Civil Aviation Security and Safety Oversight Institution of the ES, which is based in NTB. It is working on that. Increasingly, we expect this area to become better. But right now, it has a challenge. Funding for Miaka, yes, I've talked about it as a challenge. But of course, this is within the national envelope, national cake. So we continue making justification for increased funding for specific areas, particularly ensuring that we run a robust communication mechanism. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Miaka. Now, Marvin, what's tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow is Saturday, okay. Members, we want to thank you as we come to the close of the first week of this activity. I want to thank you, the representative of the Minister, for ably sharing with Ugandans the status of our journey on the integration process. We will be back here on Monday, with a presentation from Judiciary. Yeah. Monday, I think there is a change of program, so on Monday we'll be here at 10 with a presentation from Judiciary. I think it will be one presentation for the day. And then we'll resume fully on Tuesday, normal presentations for the day, and we'll also communicate them accordingly. Allow me, on behalf of the team that has been overseeing the activity, thank you so much for the efforts. Thank you so much for the partnership. And like we said, please make sure this information is picked correctly and passed on as farthest as possible. For the people in the print media, well, sometimes we may not dictate business, but it's also important that since now we are in a week of celebrating our achievements, even if you decide to pick just a small story, because the stories that these presenters bring here, the cabinet, our political leaders bring here and share with us, they are quite heavy and long and interesting. But just pick one piece of story which is about something that is peripheral, I think to me is like we are not taking this activity serious. So I still appeal to you that please give us more space, but if you also want to maintain the space issues, at least pick one of the what you think is a key achievement so that Ugandans can celebrate with us during this week. Once again, I thank you and wish you a nice weekend. So I declare this session closed. I now invite you to raise for the anthems in the reverse order as we close. And after here, we will request you for a photo opportunity outside here. Then we call it a day. Thank you so much.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This is a magical fruit. it turns sand into fertile soil and generates 24,000 yuan for every 20 square kilometers. What's the secret of this amazing fruit? Find out on today's episode of China Farm.
Hi everyone, this is China Farm. Today's program features the story of Lu Yuxin. He lives in Zhenglan Banner in China's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region, a place where sand is part of daily life. Desertification is the main constraint on agricultural development. Lu Yuxin has been looking at ways to change this situation. He grows an interesting plant on his land. At late August, all he does day and night is guarding his land. What kind of treasure is he planting, and how does he deal with desertification?
I'm going to stay up tonight. This place is our treasure chest. I have to keep an eye on it.
This section of field belongs to Lu Yuxin. At first glance, it's ordinary grassland. What kind of treasure could be hiding here? The place where he lives, Zhenglan Banner, is the southernmost part of the Hushan Dake Desert.
This place is of great strategic importance to desertification control. If the desert continues to stretch to the south, it will inevitably reach Beijing. Improving the situation in this region is significant to desertification control efforts. You may have noticed serious desertification around this area. This piece of land I'm standing on was covered with grass only a few years ago. As you can see, it's barren now. All you can see is sand.
In Zhenglan Banner, sand makes its way into every corner. Desertification is reducing the local people's income and quality of life.
If you go out and come back into the house, you can actually feel grains of sand between your teeth. I really hope the ecology can be improved.
The local government and residents have tried a lot of ways to fight desertification. Sand fixation bushes such as Salix cordea V and Caragana have been planted. Grazing has been banned in an effort to restore the grassland.
We have to be responsible to our descendants and adopt a sustainable approach. However, we are confronted with more pressing challenges. Banning grazing to encourage grassland restoration means this source of income is no longer available. Now that animal husbandry is out of the picture, the people here need new sources of income to make a living.
Some herdsmen switched from grazing to planting. But the barren desert land is the last place suitable for growing crops.
It used to be a land of yellow sand. Now it's clumped, cultivatable soil.
Lu Yuxin is safeguarding a treasure chest which provides an economic return and ecological restoration. Living in harmony with the surroundings on this land is Lu Yuxin's dream lifestyle. at the sponge cherry plantation. There's something strange going on. It makes no sense that Liu Yuxin would use weeds to save flowers. What is going on? It has something to do with the climate in Zhonglan Banner.
This place is blessed by the wind god. It's windy for 75% of days in a year. The winter wind is particularly vicious. It sometimes carries away flocks of sheep. In spring, it's brown wind. Sandstorms are a type of brown wind. You can hear the fierce,